Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR PKF Race iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Season 3 of the Ray eSports Racing League presented by RaceVoice and Alliance Autosport. It's Week 4, and with each of our 3 classes, Spec Racer Ford, Mazda MX-5 Global Cup, and also Formula V, each having completed 2 rounds, we now head deep into the Wisconsin Dells to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It's the home of one of the most terrifying corners in motorsport, the Kink, and befitting of its nickname, the National Park of Speed. It's 4 miles of flat-out racing. Buckle up, everybody, because we're at a virtual Road America. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and with Brian Donati taking the evening off. Tonight we've got Austin Knight joining us in the announce booth, and not taking the night off, and never does. We've got Apex Racing TV's Dennis Branch, who's in the virtual production trailer. He's bringing us all the great views from this beautiful venue. So tonight we've got 2 great races on tap. First off, the Formula Vs will duke it out, and I imagine we'll see just a bit more passing than we saw at Barber Motorsports Park last week. And then the Spec Racer Fords will join us after a well-deserved week off. So first off, Austin, welcome to the Ray eSports Racing League.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be in this booth. It's very pristine, and you know, I really like it in here. You got the AC running at a nice temperature, but yeah. It's certainly going to be a great race here today at Road America. These Formula Vs. I've marked that one on the calendar. Formula Vs, very draft heavy and very, needing on the draft. And, if you just get behind another one, they just suck up right behind it. And should be a great race heading into these corners. I was watching these guys in practice. They were going 3 wide down the straight heading into turn most of the turns, and it's going to be a great race. It's going to be a battle of the last of the late breakers, and who could keep the car the cleanest the most.
Yeah, exactly. So the draft, probably more so than the other two classes that we have in the Ray Esports Racing League, very, very prevalent, very strong. And, you know, again, our drivers found at Barber last week that even with that strong draft, when you always have your hands moving and you've got all those elevation changes and very short straightaways, it's not enough for these 60 horsepower wonders to draft on by. But here at Road America, which is essentially just these very long straights, we'll call it 4 straights, separated by 90-degree corners for the most part. It's going to make for some very close racing. Use of the draft, and the track here being 55 feet wide all the way around. It's 4 miles. It really is going to make for some tight running. So we're just about halfway through qualifying right now, Austin, the 15-minute open qualifying session here. And real quick, I want to look back to last week where our Formula V racers did have round 2. And taking the win was Morgan Burkhardt in the number 40 All Sports Racing Machine. Very close race with his teammate Jamison Huffman. They were not exactly nose to tail, but very, very close. We saw Burkhardt taking some very different lines through, especially turns 15 and 16 at Barber, and it's what helped him hold on for the win. Now, finishing on the last step of the podium, Jamison's father, Justin Huffman, in the number 223 machine with John Vogel and Greg Mack finishing just off the podium. So if we go and we take a look at the point standings now after 2 rounds in Formula V, with his win, even though he did not get a win in either rounds 1 or 2, Jamison Huffman is actually our points leader in Formula V with 45 points. Morgan Burkhardt, his teammate with his 1 win, is sitting 2 points back in second. Justin Huffman sitting a distant third, sitting back with 34 points, and it is a very tight battle for third right now in the points race. We've got Edgar Sancinelli with 33 points. We've got Greg Mack with 32 points. That is your top 5, and so we'll see if things come up any closer here after tonight's 20-minute sprint race at the National Park of Speed, Road America.
Yeah, Road America is going to be a great fight between Huffman, Sancinelli, and Mack. The 3 of them all separated by, 3 points, 32, 33, 34. You know, if they can really, if something happens, Huffman and Burkhardt might also close their gap with the rest of the field as well if, unfortunate stuff has happened. We've seen some unfortunate stuff happen here at Road America. You know, these cars love draft, the long straights. You don't want to be in these cars. I gotta say, you do not want to be leading on the last lap heading into the final corner. If you're leading on the last lap, you're not going to be winning this race, especially heading into the final corner, because if you're nose to tail with somebody, the guy behind you is probably going to be winning this race, especially if they are about half a second behind you, because that's where you're going to get the draft, you're going to get the overspeed, and you're going to get the speed coming through the corner and the momentum to position your car beside them and drag race them to the line. It's going to be very difficult, because when you get alongside with these Formula Vs, they're going to get a lot of side drafting, helping out the other car as well. But if you carry that momentum right, you're going to be able to slingshot right past them.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, you know, it's funny. Brian Donati and I were talking about this at round 1 for the Formula Vs, which is at Watkins Glen. And we expected to see some what I would consider to be traditional Formula V racing, with the drivers using the draft, popping out at the last moment, and maybe the lead car letting that pass happen more or less uncontested so that he or she could keep up momentum and continue on. And, of course, that usually doesn't happen on the very last lap. But what we saw at the Glen was virtual mayhem, as the drivers, I think, were not prepared for how quickly they could pull up on another car in the draft. They were always yanking the car out to try, you know, because it was either that or run it right into the back of the car ahead of them. And I think we saw maybe 45, 50 passes for the lead. But I look back to my last real life race that I covered at Road America for Formula V for the Sports Car Club of America's National Championships, Austin. And there were 6 cars together going into Canada Corner on the very last lap. Actually, it was coming out of turn 3. There were 6 cars together because the 7th car was able to make up so much ground on the last lap because we had essentially 5 wide almost all the way around the track.
That sounds like an SCCA Formula V race.
Yeah, came out of nowhere. And we'll just say he picked up the 7-10 split coming through Bill Mitchell. That he covered so much ground. He took out half that lead pack on the very last lap. But I wouldn't expect to see that here tonight. But it should definitely be a great race. So if we take a look now, as we've got just about 2.5 minutes left to go in qualifying, Caleb Patry, currently your provisional pole sitter with a fast lap of a 250.070. That's 0.3 up on Jamison Huffman. Looks like Morgan Burkhardt, who had spent a good portion of the qualifying sitting in the pits, he's come out and set 1 flying lap, currently good enough for 3rd. With a 250.46. That is 85 hundredths off of Huffman's times. So we've got Edgar Sancinelli and Mike Taylor there as well. We'll have to see if we have any major changes here. For example, looking right now, still sitting in the pit lane is Jordy Fike in that 09 machine. I'd expect him to come out. Fike had did not great race at Barber, finishing in 9th position. But I would have expected to see him a little bit higher in the order there. We'll see if he can at least get a little bit better starting position. Thankfully, and we've only had, I believe, 9 cars set lap times at this point. Looks like Greg Mack and Charles Vaccaro, although they were out in practice. Well, Charles Vaccaro now.
They're out on track right now.
Yeah, he is on track.
Vaccaro's first lap was validated. Grant Volgel is actually on his out lap right now. Here's Charles Vaccaro coming around the final corner, actually. It's actually going to be fairly a big gap to where Vaccaro's qualifying is going to be compared to the rest of the field, because I could probably guarantee you the top 4, top 5 might have had a little bit of help from a car in front of them using the draft of the other cars to get a good pit stop, but a good qualifying position. And coming across the line, here's Vaccaro. Does he get... He's improved on that lap, but it's also been invalidated. Just goes a little bit off track. And, you know, even in the Vs, you're going to be struggling with track limits. 249.991 for Huffman. Immediately taken back by Patry, 249.707. Just 0.2 ahead of Huffman, who is also the car in front of them, so they might have had a little bit of draft help with each other.
And so it's going to be interesting to see here. You mentioned Grant Vogel, that it looked like he was rolling out to possibly start a lap. That Grant Vogel and John Vogel, brothers, race formula cars in real life, and having covered them in the virtual world, actually back with former league presented by the Sports Car Club of America, I know that they usually wait until the very last moment to go out and set qualifying times. Of course, in the Formula Vs here, given the relative lap times are a little bit under 3 minutes, you know, you typically would have to go out rather early in order to get your out lap in and then get a flying lap
9 minutes to go
as well. Yeah,
about
exactly.
9 minutes to go, you have to head out, get your lap in there and everything. But, you know, around here, they're just going to be content with starting at the back and picking up the pieces as they fall. Which, you know, if it gets into a crazy situation with everyone going 6 wide, we got about 14 cars on track today. I do not think we're going to be seeing 2 rows of 6 wide and then a few stragglers in the back. Probably the... Oh,
that was a wild ride there for Andrew Benna. As
he
recovers
tires,
coming out of as he recovers coming out of Canada on what was his last flying lap. I don't think this is going to move him up in the order here all that much.
Hey, you know, he's just testing out those drum brakes.
That's right. Yeah, these as we get ready here and the cars are coming back across, we'll talk about this a little bit more during the race. But these cars really are an anachronism, a real throwback to an earlier day of racing. You know, in club racing, you know, this is probably the least expensive, the lowest barrier to entry class there is. But a lot of that is because it is based on some very, and there's Benna goes into the wall past the start finish line. Of course, his qualifying session is done. By the way, the checkered flag is out on qualifying now. You know, but these cars, you know, really harken back to yesteryear, back to the 60s, and we'll talk a little bit more about how they're made up in just a few moments here. As our last drivers are crossing the start-finish line, we've got the 221 of Vaccaro coming down the Road America straight. Looks to be a bit off pace. Caleb Patry blows on by to set his final flying lap. He is not going to improve, however, turning in a 2:49.82, a blazing 11 hundredths off of his pole setting time of 2:49.71.
Yeah, Vaccaro comes across the line with a 3:09.94 and gets into 10th place, but you know, qualifying ends 13 car grid. Hey, I'm ready for a good day at the races. Are you?
I certainly am, Austin. So why don't we go? We'll run down the starting grid and get this 20-minute race to the checker underway. All right, starting off on the pole, as we mentioned here, driving the number 98 machine, it is Caleb Patry, fast lap of a 2:49.707. Sitting right beside him on the outside of row number 1, 28 hundredths back is Jamison Huffman in the number 89 machine, your current points leader in the Ray Esports Racing League. Morgan Burkhardt, last week's winner in the number 40 machine, will start on the inside of row number 2 with Edgar Sancinelli in the Frito Sport Racing machine, the number 257 car, starting 4th. Then we've got Mike Taylor on the inside of row number 3 with Andrew Benna, and far from NASCAR entry there, starting in 6th. Jordy Fike in the Team Esport Racer 09 entry starts 7th with Joaquin Effinger starting right next to him in 8th. Making up row 5, we've got John Casey in the 78 machine and Charles Vaccaro. Then in row number 7, let's take a look. It's John Vogel, or pardon me, row number 6, it's John Vogel and Greg Mack, and then John's brother Grant starting in 13th position in the number 12 car. There we go. There is our starting grid as the pace car takes the field down now and into turn at number 3. And I'll tell you, Austin, and watching these pace laps, these Formula Vs are more or less at race pace, trying to keep up with this Porsche.
Honestly, they are really struggling to keep up with this Porsche. The field's really spread out. I know the Porsche is only going about 60 miles an hour, and so, you know, these are old Volkswagen, so they're trying to keep up, but coming out of these corners, that pace car will get a pretty good gap on these Vs, as they have to slow down a lot for a few of these 90-degree corners here. And yeah, but I was watching them practice a few starting laps of practice, and you know, a few cars really went for it, a few cars stayed behind. I'm going to say the first 3 rows are really going to be going for this race. The rest of them behind, don't be surprised if they just start branching off, drop to the right of the track, drop to the left of the track, let cars by, and just play this one safe, because, you know,
look to pick up
lap 1 here is going to be pretty hectic. And, you know, with that draft and how powerful the draft is, you know, somebody might not be thinking clearly, might be stuck in a hole behind another car. Just stick that very pointy end into the very pointy back end, just in the wrong angle, and you might have a car going around in a very tight spot. And, you know, the runoff here is all grass, so on the side of the straight,
long way to slide.
you're gonna be seeing some cars sliding a little bit. We already saw a few of that in qualifying, but a place you do not want to see a car sliding is right after carousel. And it is that dangerous kink. In the top cars, it is just a kink flat out. You don't think about it. Yeah. In the lower Formula cars, though, you got to lift. Sometimes you got to brake for that. And the drum brakes on this car will rotate this car before you can even blink.
All right. Yeah, absolutely, Austin. So real quick, let's talk about our sponsor for tonight's race, and that is RaceVoice. And they are proud to once again sponsor the Ray Esports Racing League, 3rd season in a row. Take your driving to the next level with on-track audible performance alerts with RaceVoice and RaceVoiceSIM. Hear miles per hour, turn entry and exit speeds, upshift alerts, and other performance metrics, which are selected and configured by and for you. Go faster with the speed of voice. For more information about RaceVoice, go and head on over to racevoice.com. All right, Austin, as we've got the pace car now bringing the field through Canada Corner and up Bill Mitchell. The field, as you mentioned, still a little stretched out here as they're pushing those little 1.2-liter air-cooled motors for all they're worth to keep up with the no longer air-cooled Porsche here, the pace car. You know, these things, they only put out about 60 horsepower. So, you know, some of these elevation changes, like here, coming down the Road America straight as the pace car now dumps into the pit lane. These drivers, they're going to come up this big, long hill, going to try and keep the speed up as much as possible as they wait for the green flag. Caleb Patry with the point here on the pole. And we have a green flag. Patry, Huffman, Burkhardt, Sancinelli, all underway, nose to tail, moving to the inside, trying to come down the center of the track is Sancinelli, but it looks like Huffman able to hold him off just a little bit. Now side by side, we've got Morgan Burkhardt as well as our pole sitter, Caleb Patry. Burkhardt a nose up on the outside there in the number 40 machine, right back behind Mike Taylor, who's made up a couple positions now, gets around Jamison Huffman and Edgar Sancinelli as they now make their way down the hill over towards turn 3. Again, our pole sitter, Patry, he's got the position coming into the very first straight here, coming into the very long moraine sweep, and as we like to call it, the Cheesehead Bridge.
Yeah, under the Cheesehead they go. Taylor following Burkhardt as they go all the way out to the right side of the track. And now we got a 2x2. Well, we're going to have a 3-wide down into turn 3. Look at the speed that Huffman's got. Heading into turn 3, hard onto the brakes, and they're going to be side by side right there. Still side by side, going a little bit wide goes Huffman as Caleb is just holding down that inside. Underneath the Corvette bridge they go. Still side by side. Patriot gets back to the lead. Huffman's got, well, it looked like Burkhardt was trying to look down his inside, but you can already see on how powerful that draft was heading into there.
Absolutely.
3 wide, but 4 cars back was Huffman, and then he's jumped out into the lead, now sitting in 2nd place. Momentum is going to be a entire big thing, and Edgar Sancinelli is falling down to 7th. And we've had an incident. John Casey has gone just a bit off track. No contact, I believe. It was just
yeah, it looked like he just went wide coming out of turn 7. They're setting up for the carousel, but as we go back to the action now, coming underneath the Henry Bridge and heading towards that infamous kink, 3-car breakaway here with Caleb Patry, Jamison Huffman, and his teammate Morgan Burkhardt, as Patry already goes to the inside, goes to driver's right to try and defend, try to force Huffman and Burkhardt out to driver's left as they come down towards Canada Corner. And you can see things have fanned out right back behind them as well, as we've got Taylor and Benna side by side, Fike and Sancinelli side by side as they all come in the Canada Corner. And now Jamison Huffman, he's got the point, gets around Caleb Patry and cuts across Patry's nose as they come through Bill Mitchell, heading down towards the final corner here, turn 14, with just a couple more corners to go. And you can see Huffman getting very defensive already. And this Austin, is what we saw at Watkins Glen. These drivers, knowing how strong the draft is, always setting up with a defensive line, and it's going to be very hard to maintain that over 20 minutes.
Yeah, the draft is going to be very hard to maintain. This gap's going to be very hard to maintain. If it's being maintained right now, they're going back to 3 wide down the front straight. Caleb Patry leading the first lap, and you know, it's been a better race so far than his race at Barber, where he started up on pole and finished down in 20th. As they're side by side heading into turn 1, still side by side now. A little bit of swapping right here, and you can see a few of the cars already picking out their strategy and who they want to be behind, and they're just leaving Caleb out to dry on the outside. And now as they get back onto the straight, Caleb staying all the way to driver's left. 3 wide once again. Huffman on the outside to driver's right, and in the middle of all that, stuck in the middle of you, is Huffman.
Yeah, and look at this, as we've got Mike Taylor, who's hung with these top 3 drivers pretty much the whole way around the course here. As we now have moving down the inside, we've got Huffman going to cover all the way drivers left, trying to hold Patrick at bay.
Sancinelli made a big move right there. I thought it was going to go into the back of Taylor. Actually, no, that was not.
That was Andrew Benna in the number 71 machine with the late braking move. And matter of fact, we saw Benna during practice working on his 4-wheel drifts in these Formula V machines. But he makes a great move now, moving up into 4th, getting past Mike Taylor, also getting past Jordy Fike as well. As look at this as they come through 7, and Patry using every last bit of that extra curbing. You know, the stuff on the outside of the orange and yellow there, much like the exit curbing at turn 5. Very, very deep gator teeth, something that could really throw these Formula Vs off. But Patry uses it to his advantage, opens up at least a little bit of a gap. But it's funny now here, Austin. We saw that 3-car breakaway just a lap ago.
It's gone.
It's gone. It is now a 6-car. Yeah, it is a 6-car fight now for the lead as they make their way down to Kettle Bottoms.
Yeah, this looks like a soapbox derby race, honestly, down this straight. Everyone jostling position. Heading into Canada corner, Huffman defending onto the inside. Oh, that's a little bit late break move. Beaton gets into the back of Burkhardt. They both go spinning around and stuck in the middle of the track, trying to avoid him. Cars go all over the place. I think Greg Mack was the one that
went off as
shot off into Canada corner, trying to avoid that. Just chaos right there. And you know, that's what the draft is going to bring close racing. But you know, some guys are just going to be a little bit too aggressive, and now we got that 5-car breakaway, which probably will not be caught.
All right, so let's take a look at a replay here. As they were coming down, we had Benna in that orange number 71 sitting right back behind the top 3 drivers. A little bit of brake lockup. You can see the nose dip, and he gets right into the back of the number 40 machine of Burkhardt, and then goes for the wild ride, 2 wheels in the air, and he finishes up sitting in the gravel trap at Canada corner.
That so well. That happened right in front of him, and he didn't panic at all. He took the corner like he regularly take the corner. They're going to be going wide. He takes it down the inside, avoided that, P3.
You know, with these cars, yeah, the thing is you need to brake as little as possible, obviously, but if you don't get the brake bias set up correctly, there's such the tendency to lock up those front wheels, lose front grip, and that's exactly what we saw happen to Benna, as that nose dipped down, and I just don't think he expected Burkhardt to be, you know, to be on the brakes as hard as he was, where he was. Benna just probably got into the brakes about 5 feet too late, as we now follow with our leader, Caleb Patry, and he now has Jordy Fike, who, as we mentioned, Jordy Fike finishing pretty far back in the order, finished 10th last week at Barber. He is now your 2nd place runner. Then we've got the 966 of Mike Taylor, who's been sitting up in that lead pack since the beginning of this race. Jamison Huffman, who started off on the front row, he is now sitting back and forth with Edgar Sancinelli in the Frito Sport Racing 257 machine right back behind him, and you can see the gap now all the way back to Charles Vaccaro, the 221 machine, sitting in 6th.
Yeah, that's the strategy you want to be. Stay at the back of the fight for the lead and just wait for this race to get all the way down to the end. And, well, when the time comes, you make a move. But I feel like Jordy Fike is being a little bit off the throttle right now, as Kayla's pulling out a gap over Jordy. That gap's going to fall way down right now as they enter the kink, half a second. When they get to the kink, I will not be surprised if Jordy Fike is side by side with Caleb right here. See Caleb taking that defensive line. Jordy Fike staying onto that outside line, getting the door closed into the braking zone. And, yep, right there, Taylor goes wide. Getting a taste of that gravel.
And Taylor's going to end up losing to Huffman there. So drop Taylor now back in the 4th. And Sancinelli just sitting back and waiting to pick up the pieces here. But you can see now as they made their way up the hill, Fike right back up onto the back of our leader, Patry. And I think you're right, Austin. I think as they were coming out of the carousel, maybe Fike was soft pedaling it just a little bit to hold Huffman at bay there.
You see them coming out from 2/10. Both Fike and Huffman had that momentum, swinging around the outside. New fast lap and new leader, Jordy Fike on the outside. It's Huffman on the outside, Fike right beside him, side by side heading into turn 1. And who's going to be the new leader for this lap? It's going to be Huffman. Caleb holding around the outside of Jordy Fike, and I think Jordy is just I think Jordy's taking notes right now.
Yes.
He's already taking notes of that final lap. He gave that spot to Caleb, and Edgar Sancinelli with his teammate. They are just going to be watching this one happen, and well, they're probably going to have some popcorn out.
Oh, and look at this as Huffman moves all the way driver's right to cover Jordy Fike as they make their way down towards turn 5. And, you know, I'm hoping that Dennis can throw up the old speed meter there, just like they have at Road America, so we could see how fast these drivers are coming. There we go. Well,
wow.
we'll check before they get on the brakes.
Airborne! Fike airborne!
And,
over the hump off the exit, Air Fike.
I told you that curbing on the exit of 5 wasn't a good place to be, and there you go as it launched the 09 car. Oh, probably about 3 feet in the air, and oh, looks like another driver having problems with it. That is one of the Vogel brothers. Yeah, John Vogel looked like he had some issues there coming out of 5. I think with a lot of these drivers, if they don't have a lot of experience in the Formula Vs, you'll see a lot of liftoff oversteer in these cars, and just real hard to gather it back up if the rear end starts to go around. So let's take a look now as we've got Caleb Patry sitting back behind Jamison Huffman as they go down side by side to the kink. This can't be good.
Hold on to your butts. This is going to be tight. Very out to the end.
Now granted, I was going to say, granted, it's a little different in a Formula V than if you were going through too wide and, I don't know, say like a GT4 car. But
you know, GT4 is about 3 times than a Formula V.
Well, that's my point. As they go
it's
through
doable in a Formula V. I've just had very bad experiences in every other thing, so I'm still getting uneasy about it.
Absolutely. I mean, I went back through there in 2010 in my CRX side by side with an old World Challenge touring car. I made it through. Anyway,
the other guy,
the touring, not so much. So, all right. So we've got our leaders now making their way up the Road America straight, the front straight here as we complete lap number 4. And here we go as they cross the stripe. It is Caleb Patry still in the point, covering all the way down to the inside. And you can see Huffman just drafts right on by. Then we've got Taylor and Sancinelli, the 2 Frito Sport racing machines, now all in a row as we come under braking going into turn 1. And you can see there that that mistake that Fike had at turn 5 just a lap ago really hurt him.
It's damaged his car. His front left wheel is a little bit kinked in. It's bent his suspension, and he's dropped off this grade. He's unable to keep the pace as Patry gets very loose under braking, goes very wide. Huffman able to avoid that, and here's Mike Taylor on the inside. It's a drag race right here. If we could get an onboard of Jordy Fike, I want to point out just how little that bump was able to upset his car. Yeah, if you look at the front left, it's a little bit lower.
Yeah, it's a little lower. Yeah, matter of fact, you saw right as we switched away, you could see the drop in the trailing arm there. Under braking, Sancinelli putting the car around, and you could see there he spent the entire time in the brake zone trying to gather that back up, and he puts the car around.
That car was wilder than a bull on rodeo night. This car has 95% of its weight behind you on that rear axle. So the brake balance is about at 65%. And he's around again. The tire's overheated. And
his teammate goes around. All right, let's take a look at the replay here now as they're coming down here. This was the entrance coming down into turn 5, and you can see Sancinelli trying to find a way through. Yeah, gets off the throttle, and the rear end just comes around. And then it looks like they had another incident again a little bit further up the road that might have involved Mike Taylor's.
I feel like Edgar might have been he's already heated up the tires by the slide. So was this a natural spin, or did he? Oh, he's hit the curb off the exit. The car was already rotating, so you know, we see this, the washout Andrews spinning as we cut right away. Top 3 on the road. Jordy Fike limping in 4th place. And, you know, if this continues to happen up front between Huffman, Taylor, and Caleb, this might be a Jordy Fike podium if he keeps his nose clean.
Yeah, as long as he can keep the car on track. And, you know, you look, he's not all that far back as our top 3 continue to battle it out here. He's not, he's still running about 4 seconds off our leader's pace, but he's still within view there as we jump on board right now with our 3rd place runner, Mike Taylor, as he's in the catbird seat. He sees both Huffman and Patry side by side, and you can see the power of the draft as Huffman just pulls Mike Taylor right up alongside of Caleb Patry there. And once again, we're going to have 2, maybe 3 wide going down into turn 1 as they
Huffman
fan
doesn't
out
know
once
which line
again.
to take. Huffman was looking to defend on the inside, going on to the outside, and Taylor was just, well, he was just sitting there, just like, you choose your line. I'm just going to follow wherever you're going. So we got side by side for 6th place between Vaccaro and Joaquin Effinger. Thank you.
And yeah, and those 2 guys, I'll tell you, it doesn't matter what car they're in. Austin, it could be a Formula V, it could be a Spec Racer Ford, it could be an MX-5. They are, and last season in the Formula Mazdas, they were pretty much joined at the hip every single race, and it's no different here tonight as our leaders now make their way once again down into turn 5 as we are working lap number 5, or probably working lap number 6, pardon me. Here, and still once again Huffman and Patry battling it out as we have Patry coming down the inside, coming through turn 6 as they exited from underneath the Corvette bridge. Huffman dropping back into 2nd, and the 996 Taylor is right there.
I believe it's going to be white flag this lap. It's only a 20-minute race, and no, it is not white flag.
I think we're going to have one more lap. We're just at about
the pace lap took about 5
minutes.
Yeah, we just hit 16 minutes on our clock. Thank you, iRacing, for just completely making me think that. But, you know, iRacing also counts the pace lap as a timed lap.
And it looks like Effinger's gone off, so that little battle that he had with Charles Vaccaro no longer in play. And it looks like Greg Mack going to sneak by him here coming through the carousel.
That's an easy move for Greg to make. Just hold it down the inside, and you know he's going to have Effinger on his back with the draft, but shouldn't be too much to handle for him. As back up to our leading 3 heading into Canada corner, you can see the exhaust puffs as they all hit onto the brakes and downshift. These cars, when they over-rev, well, you know when they over-rev.
Yeah, they're air-cooled motors and lots of oil. You can
spot that Mike Taylor's engine did not smoke up when he got onto the brakes. Probably because Mike might be running an H pattern and might be driving this and not over-revving the car. And I have seen incidents where these Vs have blown up after pushing them too hard. 17 minutes on the board. 17:10, you know, I think this might be white flag.
There it is in the air, white flag in the air with these 2-minute 50-second laps. About 10 seconds away from getting another lap as our leaders now make their way down towards turn 1 for the final time. And it is Jamison Huffman with Caleb Patry and Mikey Taylor going wide. He gathers it back up though, and he's still in that fight. But you know, take a look a little further back. Look at Jordy Fike just waiting for somebody to drop off the course.
You know, when he saw Taylor get a little bit wide, I think he was like, "I'm going to be on the podium here." This is really going to be the fight for 2nd place heading into Canada corner. Everyone's going to be in that 2nd spot, that fight for 2nd spot. Mike Taylor's dropped back a little bit. Caleb Patry is in that spot where you want to be. He's going to have all the draft needed to get into the lead. But what Mike Taylor is doing, he's making sure that he has a better gap. Patry and Huffman can negate Taylor if they go side by side immediately out of the exit. But this might go 3 wide across the line. and we might need to get a high-speed camera out ready at the finish line because this is going to be one-time finish.
The closest margin of victory that I have seen at Road America is in Spec Racer Ford 4 years ago at the June sprints. Margin of victory 0.003 of a second, and we'll see. We might be that close here tonight as our drivers coming into the carousel for the last time. And look at this, is Huffman taking a very different line through the carousel. Going to start out wide, going to drop back in, and Taylor wisely taking that same entry, using the draft, but now knowing that he's already done it once, he's going to go side by side into the kink with Patry, and let's see what Patry does.
Patry's going to be taking the lead. Huffman, I believe, just let him by. He's going to fake down the inside, but he's not going to, if he's smart, he's not going to take this move. Taylor's watching this. Taylor knows about the draft. Taylor's going to be staying behind them. They're going to be fighting side by side into Canada corner, wheel to wheel. Patry around the outside. Huffman sitting in second place. Taylor in third. As they come out of Canada corner, a few corners to go before that final. You can already see Huffman dropping 2/10 back. He is readying himself up for a shake and bake slingshot. Heading into the final corner, we got 3 cars within 0.3 of each other. Here in the Ray eSports, presented by RaceVoice here at Road America. Here comes Huffman side by side up Patry. It's a drag race to the line. Huffman's got the lead by a nose. He's got the lead by a car. 3 cars across the line by a 10th. Huffman by 0.05 of a second.
There you go, and you could see the power of the draft here. And you can also see the power of that liftoff oversteer as Joaquin Effinger in the 700 machine goes around once again. Greg Mack, I don't know if there was contact. Maybe we'll get a look at that as Greg Mack crosses the stripe. Looks like Edgar Sancinelli is going to make his way back here. Let's take a look at the replay as they come now out of Bill Mitchell, heading over towards the final corner. Greg Mack had the position there, and here we go. And yet the rear end.
Oh wow, they both
of them.
Wow,
both of them decide to take to the grass.
I saw Greg coming off the track when we switched to Effinger spinning, so I thought they might have had a little bit of contact. But no, the only contact they had was with the dirt and the bumps.
The dirt and the grass, and went chopping grass for the fine folks up at Elkhart Lake. All right, so there you go, taking the win in race 1 tonight in our Formula V battle. Jamison Huffman, Caleb Patry, our pole sitter, will finish second. Mike Taylor finishes third. Jordy Fike fourth. Greg Mack fifth. Then we've got Sancinelli, Effinger, Casey Vaccaro, and Morgan Burkhardt rounds out the top 10. All right, so let's take a look. We've got our winner from tonight, Jamison Huffman, sitting in the green room. Austin, let me bring him on in.
Yep, sitting next to Mr. Jamison Huffman after a fantastic race heading into the final corner. Heading into the final lap, you knew where you needed to be. You were sitting behind Caleb. Did you know that you needed to be in second place heading past the final lap, or were you just steadying that draft power? What was your strategy going to the final lap?
About 2-3 laps before final lap, I was doing a little bit of testing because Caleb seemed like he wanted to fight it a lot. So I would basically let him by through Canada corner, sit behind, see if I could get him at the line out of the final corner, and I could. So I knew that's just where I needed to be, was right behind him out of Canada corner. And coming to that final lap, I was scared because they were nose to tail right behind me, so I thought I was going to get blown by on that back straight. But luckily I didn't, so I just kept it right with Caleb through the final corner and then used the draft to get right by him.
Well, yeah, you played it smart. You played it wise. You didn't try any risky moves throughout that race, and it paid off with the tightest finish in Road America history between 3 cars. The old record was about 0.3. That's now a 10th between 3 cars. And you came home with the win. Before we let you go, get ready for round 2 and the spec racers. Anyone you want to thank?
I'd like to thank my parents for racing, Major's Garage for setups, my teammates for helping me do this. Sadly, Morgan didn't have a little problem in the race, but he won't be here because he doesn't want to do the SRF race tonight. But And you guys too for streaming this, and Ray and Greg for hosting this entire series. This is a great series. Great people that are racing it too.
Thank you. We're glad to have you here, and congrats again on the win.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. That was Jamison Huffman, our winner tonight in Formula V. And now we've got Caleb Patry, driver of the number 98 machine, finishing second tonight in Formula V.
Yeah, I'm standing by with Caleb. Hopefully, he unmutes his microphone and allows us to be here. There's Caleb. We have Caleb. Hard fought race for you. Unfortunately, the draft was not in your favor, and you finished in second place, but you were putting up a great show up there at the front.
Hello?
Caleb, there you are, Caleb.
Sorry, having some audio issues.
Hey, it happens from time to time. You don't need to have you have the racing experience, so we don't put all the audio issues on you. Fantastic race for you today. Hard fought race up at front all day. You were up there. Unfortunately, the draft was not in your favor. You came home in second place. How was that race though?
It was pretty intense. I kind of knew going into this that it would be like that. There'd be a group of, I don't know, 3-4 of us the whole time battling it out in the draft. I was just kind of trying to stay at the front of the rotation, trying to stay ahead, see where I had an advantage, see where I would need to make a pass, if anything. And on that last lap, I was a little unsure of where to be. Since it was a 3-car train, I didn't really want to be in third going up the front straight, so I tried to pass for the lead going into Canada, and a couple of times through 14, I was able to hold him off the line, so I was hoping I could do the same there that last lap, but unfortunately, it just didn't happen there that last lap. Yeah, good job to Jamison. It was a really good, clean, fun race between all of us.
Yeah, he certainly gave us a show up here in the commentary booth. And, well, before we let you go, get ready for the spec racers. Anyone you want to thank?
Well, I guess certainly Stevie Ray for continuing to put this stuff on.
Yeah, big thanks to them. They do a fantastic job. And thank you for putting up a great show. Certainly, they're all proud of you.
Well, thank you.
All right, there you go. That was Caleb Patry, driver of the number 98 machine, finishing second tonight in the Formula Vs. So, Austin, as is the norm here, we are going to take a quick break, thank all of our great sponsors, and we'll be back in a few moments with race number 2. That is our Spec Racer Ford race. So, for those of you watching at home, if you haven't done so already, go ahead, give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel. You can find out about all the great and watch all the great virtual motorsports action from around the world. So we'll be back here in just a few moments for race number 2 of the Ray Esports Racing League live from Road America.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
We are back here at Road America. I'm Greg Ginsberg along with my great partner for the evening, Austin Knight. I want to thank Austin for joining us here tonight. And we now have our Spec Racer forwards out for their 15-minute open qualifying. We're about 9 minutes actually into this 15-minute qualifying session, and you can see that not a lot of cars have set lap times yet. We've got John Vogel, who perhaps did not have the race that he wanted in the Formula V event a few minutes ago. He is your provisional pole sitter with a lap time of a 2:29.65. Paul Sylvanek, great to see Paul joining us again after a long period off. Fike Sancinelli and Brennan Horan. Good to see Brennan out here tonight. Last week, I think he was spotting for a bunch of his teammates, and they all crashed out on one lap. Anyway, so he's out here running in the 45 machine, and hopefully things will go well for him. But while these drivers are out on track, let's take a quick look back at the previous weeks. We're going to actually start off and give a little bit of a recap for our MX5 race that, again, our MX5 racers that are not here racing tonight. Taking the win at Barber Motorsports Park last week was Tom Pendergrass. Had a great battle going on with Mitchell Peak. And unfortunately, the two drivers, they got together coming through turn 15 with about 8 laps remaining in that race. But Pendergrass held on, took the win. Morgan Burkhardt in the number 40 machine, he came in second. Jamison Huffman finished in third. Murphy Nichols one step off the podium in fourth, and Charles Bailey finished in fifth. And my understanding is that was Tom Pendergrass's very first win in any broadcast race. So congratulations to him. And so after 2 rounds in MX5, Morgan Burkhardt, no wins, but he is your points leader with 42 points. Tom Pendergrass, based on that win last week, running second with 38. Darian Taggart has had a very good run in the MX5s. He is sitting third in the points right now with 31. Then Reed Shannabrook, who is our week 1 winner with 28 points. Jordy Fike rounding out the top 5. Actually, I'll tell you what, it is a tie between Jordy Fike and Greg Brockway. Andre Jameson just a point off of that in 7th. And now let's take a look at how things finished up at the last time we saw our Spec Racer Fords, and that was 2 weeks ago at Laguna Seca. Jamison Huffman in the number 89 machine. We just saw him a moment ago. He took the win in Formula V. Jamison Huffman was your winner 2 weeks ago at Laguna Seca. Wanshi Lin joined us, and it was his very first time racing with the Ray Esports Racing League. He finished second, a very strong run for him in the number 30 machine. John Vogel took the last step on the podium. As you can see, he is your provisional pole sitter currently. Justin Huffman, that's Jamison's father, finished in fourth. Greg Mack finished fifth. And if we take a look at the point standings now after 2 rounds, Jamison Huffman, having won both round 1 and round 2, he is your current points leader with 50 points. Beans Forster sitting 20 points back in second with 30 points. And then it is a 4-car tie, a 4-driver tie for third. Greg Mack, Paul Slavonic, Morgan Burkhardt, and Jordy Fike, all with 28 points. And that means Justin Huffman, even though he came in third 2 weeks ago, he is now sitting back in 7th position with 26 points. So that is how things are shaking out after 2 rounds as we come into round 3 here tonight at beautiful Road America, the National Park of Speed.
Yeah, a lot of action planned for us today after, well, certainly those drivers will not be tied after this race. I can probably be safe to guarantee that, right? Unless they all don't do a lap. Then then I'll be beaten in a closet or something. But, you know, a lot more drivers lined up here. A few drivers doing laps on their own. A few drivers following a group. These cars are way more powerful than a Formula V. You know, they got a recent upgrade from iRacing to make them a lot more umphy and up to SCCA 2022 Spec Racer Ford standards.
That's absolutely right. They moved up to the Gen 3 specs, going to the much more powerful 1.6 liter motors with tires that are no longer based on Goodyear R compound tires from 2001. But the big change, and you mentioned it here, is that as opposed to what's being used in club racing right now, these cars have a 6-speed sequential transmission, the SADEV sequential transmission. Those transmissions aren't actually going to be legal in real life racing until just after the runoffs in October this year. So they'll be legal for 2022 season, and it is, I think, really changed things here with Formula V. And I've talked to a number of real life Formula V drivers that for years would not use iRacing because basically the interpretation of that car was so different from the real life car that they just couldn't use it as a learning tool. But now actually a lot of the testing for the current version within iRacing was done by real life Spec Racer Ford Gen 2 drivers, and they're saying that it's very, very close to the real beast.
Yeah, the old bathtub characteristics of the Formula V, as it not the Formula V, the SRF, as it had a little bit of nickname around the community as the bathtub of iRacing. It no longer handles like a bathtub, and that crazy liftoff oversteer that you got from the old version is gone. It's gone. Still there, kind of. But you really have to go searching for it, and you have to go immediately 100% off the brake, 100% on, to really try to even find it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that...
It's a much more pleasurable experience to drive.
Without a doubt. And I think a lot of that has to do, again, with the modeling. The engine that is in the back, supposedly in the back of the virtual cars now, or in the real Spec Racer Ford Gen 3 cars, an aluminum block 1.6 liter motor from the Ford Focus, as opposed to the old, very, very heavy 1.9 liter iron block motors that were originally sourced from Ford Escorts. And so there's a lot less weight at the very rear of the car now than there was, and so that dialed back that liftoff oversteer quite a bit. And so let's take a look now as the checkered flag has already been thrown. Last flying laps here will count. Looks like John Vogel is probably going to be able to hold on for provisional, or hold on for pole with that 2:29.653 that he set earlier. Not many changes at the front here with Paul Slavonic sitting just a little bit back at a 2:29.91. So, you know, only actually less than 0.3 of a second back. Caleb Patry only a couple hundredths back from there. And then Jamison Huffman, fourth fastest here, as much like the last qualifying session, it looks like our last driver on track is going to be Charles Vaccaro, trying to set a fast lap here after having some previous laps invalidated.
Yeah, first lap for him was invalidated, comes across the line, doesn't get onto the board. No. Charles extending track limits just a little bit too much, and is going to be starting from the back of the field. Greg Mack also not putting in a lap, but Greg Mack didn't even get out onto track. And Yao Lin
it looks like
also,
it looked like Wanchi Win didn't set a time either with 3 flying laps in the books. Wasn't able to set a time on any of them.
Yeah, valid time. You know, it's so easy to just dip a wheel wide here. Turn 2 is probably the most extended corner, and it's just that long drive to the next lap. You're just thinking, it's like, if I didn't go wide here, you know, I'd be good. But you know, it's extra practice laps. We got 13 cars qualified, 60 cars in total here at beautiful Road America. And you know, if Formula V's told us anything, this is going to be one wild ride.
Yeah, certainly. You know, certainly the draft will come into play here with the spec racers, much as they did with the Formula V's. Maybe not to the same extent.
Not as crazy.
This was, but yeah, and you know, this is something that surprised me in watching qualifying here, is that we did not see many, if any, of our drivers go out in pairs or in packs to try and set times for qualifying. Everybody went out all by themselves. And, you know, some drivers very good at it, but it certainly could have helped the cause of a few of our drivers to move maybe a little bit up, maybe a little bit higher in the pack there. Like I would have expected to see maybe Sancinelli and Taylor working together to try and set fast laps, or see Fike and Brennan Horan together trying to set fast laps, and we just didn't see that in qualifying.
Well, the straights here are so long that, you know, if you get the draft in the car behind you, they're probably going to be overtaking you, and you're going to be giving each other a draft for different parts of the track. Unlike at smaller circuits where you can really tow a car for an entire lap and they can return the favor the next lap, this one you're kind of playing patty cake, and it kind of hurts you in a way. Absolutely.
All right, so Austin, we've got the starting grid here. Why don't you go and give us a rundown and let us know where everybody's starting?
Yeah, John Vogel with a time of 2:29.653. Very dominant pole position. Will be leading off the field in row number 1. Joining him is Paul Slavonic on the outside. We have the second row. It's Caleb Petrie and Jameson Huffman. Those two cars seem familiar. They were leading in the V's, and they're looking for another good fight up front here in the SRFs. Behind them is Grant Vogel and Brennan Horan in 6th place, followed by Jordy Fike and Edgar Sancinelli, Chad Griffin, Andre Jameson, and Mike Taylor in 11th place, with John Casey in 12th place, and just ahead of Joaquin Effinger and Lynn in 14th, followed by Greg Mapp and Charles Vaccaro at the end of our 16-car field, lineup and ready to go. One pace lap and a kind of overcasty Road America.
Yeah, you can see it's getting a little hazy out there. You know, I'll tell you, as many times I've been up to that track in real life, the weather can change so quickly. I've been there where it has been in one day in the 50s, in the 80s, and in the 40s.
I do not want to.
And I've had sun, and I've had rain, and I've had hail, all in the course of one day. Just with the weather off the lake there is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, I lived off of Lake Erie for a while over in Ohio, and I can tell you, I've had snow at the end of near like midday. It was also 90 as well earlier that day, and I was so confused because I'm Texan. I don't see snow. I don't know what snow is that much, and I'm just like, it's May. What's happening?
Yeah, it's really bizarre. And when I raced in the runoffs there one year, it started raining on the pace lap. It rained for lap 1, and then then it dried up, and it dried out everywhere except on the run down the Kettle Bottoms, heading down towards Canada Corner, where it's basically just a big tunnel of trees, and then you never get any sun there, and it just stays damp the entire race. So, you know, always very difficult. I actually look at the changing conditions at Road America, a lot of it because the track is just so darn big, kind of like watching a race at Spa, you know, where seemingly portions of the track could be under fog or be under rain, and it's just always a challenge. All right, so while we've got the cars here on their pace lap, let's quickly talk about our sponsor for this evening's Spec Racer Ford race, and that is Alliance Autosport. And for Season 3, we definitely want to welcome Alliance Autosport, a brand new sponsor to the Ray Esports family. Alliance Autosport, based in Columbus, Ohio, has found success both at the club and professional levels, garnering multiple championships, including 7 SCCA national championships, 3 SCCA Pro Racing championships, and a USF 2000 National Class Championship. Alliance Autosport's team members are dedicated, hardworking, and know what it takes to win. Not only are they SCCA Enterprises Great Lakes Division customer service representative for Spec Racer Ford Gen 3 and Formula Enterprises 2, but the team's services include arrive and drive packages for Spec Racer Ford Gen 3, FE2, and also Trans Am 2, spanning customer car prep, trackside support, transportation, storage, part sales, data analysis, hospitality, as well as driver coaching and development. To join Alliance Autosport on the winning track, check them out at allianceautosport.com.
Yeah, they're a great group of people over there at Alliance Autosport. We're happy to have them on board here at Ray Esports, and well, hey, they certainly picked a great time to hop on.
Yeah, without a doubt, there is Scott Reddick and the crew there at Alliance. They really know their Spec Racer Fords. They know their Formula Enterprise 2, and I think a great synergy here with the Ray Esports Racing League, as we've got the pace car now bringing the field down towards Canada Corner, as opposed to the Formula V's very well formed up at this point. You can see the drivers.
Yes, they're able to keep up with the Porsche.
Yes, exactly. They're able to do that 50 miles an hour that is required for the pace lap. Not a lot of scrubbing in of tires, but you can see where the drivers are dragging the brakes a bit, trying to get some heat in those wheels so they have some heat in the tires when they go down into turn 1 for the very first time. And now coming through turn 14 onto the Road America straight, we've got our pole sitter, John Vogel, to the inside in that dark blue, maybe black number 4 car. Then sitting to the outside, Paul Slavonic. Then our top finishers from race number 1, Caleb Patry and Jamison Huffman, as they come up. And there we go, green flag is in the air as they now come down the front straight, 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, and nobody seems to get a position here. You can see the inside row moving over just a little bit to try and cover the outside row. And so now making a move up is Grant Vogel.
That's Grant. Oh, no, Grant!
Oh, and our front row gets taken out as Grant Vogel came up the front. We had Jamison Huffman. We had John Vogel. We had Caleb Patry all get involved. The 2 Vogels together, and now leading the field, coming down into coming out of turn 3, making the way down to turn 5. It's Caleb Patry, our second place finisher from race 1. The Team Esports Racer 45 machine of Brendan Horan, Jordy Fike, Chad Griffith, and Sanchinelli. Oh, but my gosh, Slavonic out of the race. John Vogel out of the race. Grant Vogel looks like most likely out of the race as well.
Yeah, that was a massive hit. It was Caleb Patry who got on the brakes just a little bit late and got into the car in front of him, which shot it left. He got into the back of John Vogel, which shot him into Grant and hooked him. And that's what
there you go. You saw the tap right there, bringing the number 4 around. He gets into his brother, into the number 2. That takes out Slavonic, who was all the way driver's left, could not do anything about it. He was collateral damage. As we go back now to live action, and Caleb Patry, it looks like we had a couple more cars go off. It looks like the Charles Vaccaro machine 221 went off, as well as the 78 of John Casey as well. As we jump back to the front of the field here, Caleb Patry, Brennan Horan, Jordy Fike all in a row, and not quite the close quarters that we saw in Formula V a few moments ago here, as they make the run down to Canada Corner for the very first time. But I've seen Brennan Horan run these Spec Racer Fords very, very strong.
Jameson got a little bit loose and is around and gets collected.
The two Jamesons. We have Andre Jameson who goes around, and Jameson Huffman collects him on the exit of Canada Corner. So that who was our winner from race 1. He started on the second row. Jameson Huffman had fallen back after that incident. He now ends up here. Let's take a look at a replay here. We're going to see Andre
he tipped the wheel in the grass. I saw him get very loose. He shot across the apex, and that could be an easy trip into the tire barriers, but got the car rotated. Then Jameson made a J. Jameson
and you
sandwich.
Look at that, and it looks like that Jameson Huffman just had target fixation. He actually drove the car right out and into Andre Jameson's machine, and that is going to looks like Jameson Huffman has rejoined, but that's got to be a lot of damage to that car. As we track now our two leaders once again, Caleb Patry, Brennan Horan, and just a little bit back from there, a 3-car battle now going side by side. We've got Edgar Sancinelli in the 257 machine. He's right up alongside the 826 of Griffith as they go hard under braking into turn 5. And Griffith really chops down on Sancinelli, does not give him a lot of room to come out of that corner, and it definitely hurt the 257's exit speed.
Yeah, very tight right there. Edgar Sancinelli sitting in 4th place right now is in a good spot, and really with most of the field being affected by that start incident, everyone's going to be taking this race a lot more safer than what they were planning, because you get to see a little tiny tap to the back of one of these cars can really set you off, especially in the braking zones. As we ride on board of Lynn, sitting in 6th place as they head around the carousel right now. They enter 5 minutes of this 20-minute race, 15 minutes left, and Lynn let it just sitting behind Jordy Fike. Watch Fike off this exit though. He's got a great run on Edgar Sancinelli, who's going to be diving up to the inside. Here comes Lynn diving up onto the inside, heading into Canada Corner, boxing in Sancinelli, and he's also going to be boxing in Griffith hard onto the brakes. Fike also joining him, and Sancinelli out to dry right there. Beautiful move.
Look at this as Lynn, he comes up right on the back of Griffith. It looked like he was still carrying more speed up through Bill Mitchell. Just didn't have anywhere to go there. Now Lynn finished second in our last race. That was over at Laguna Seca. He has already made up 10 positions here in this race course. It doesn't certainly help the cause that we had 3 people go down on the very first corner, but you can see he's got a great run now, and he gets around Chad Griffith. He is now up into 3rd position in that blue and white number 30 machine, and we'll see here. Yeah, it looks like Fike, though, he's got the inside move.
Oh, hard on the brakes goes Fike. He didn't want to fight that at all. He saw Lynn. Lynn was just moving through there, and Fike was like, you know what? Lynn knows what he's doing. We should probably stay behind him.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he was just kind of cautious, and as Fike has had some issues not only in this series, but maybe a couple of other series of late, people cutting down on him. I'm wondering if he thought maybe that Lynn might come right down to the apex right ahead of him, and you can see he certainly over-braked for turn 1, and it really hurt his exit speed.
He's doing it again here. Hard on the brakes again. He had the speed on to Griffith, and that usually 9 times out of 10, that's it. But Jordy Fike taking a very early braking zone, so I feel like Jordy is just being safe this round, being very under aggressive, and just letting this race happen and wait towards the end and try to make it to the end without getting into an incident. We saw last time he got a little bit too aggressive in the break zone. Oh no!
Look at
Griffith
this.
and Haran, we got more cars off as well.
And it looks
What
like Griffith goes around as well. That's over at turn 7, coming out of the hurry downs.
Oh, that is
so Griffith now takes his car to the pits, but that was Brennan Horn, who was running in 2nd place. Let's take a look at the replay here as they make that way down the hurry downs. You can see Patry had already opened up a pretty substantial gap back to Horan, and Horan under braking goes in, and the rear end just steps out on him. So, Austin, what were we saying before about liftoff oversteer in these cars?
It still exists. It still
There you
exists,
go.
and it will get you at the boat that you least expect it, and the boat where you least don't want it. And Lynn up 12 spots, fastest lap of the race, P2.
Now look at this, as we were talking about Jordy Fike being cautious and getting into the brakes early and really scrubbing off maybe a little bit too much speed coming into a couple corners.
I think we now know why.
Yeah, look, he's already now up to 3rd place just by playing it safe and playing it cautious. The question is whether or not he's going to be able to hold off Mike Taylor there in the number 66 machine. And then we've got Edgar Sancinelli in the 257 right behind as they are making their way down the Road America straight here. And let's see what Jordy Fike does under braking here and see if he tries to back up the other 2 drivers. If he does, I think that's probably going to end up catching Sancinelli out, but much different this time around.
If Jordy Fike did what he did last lap on the racing line, we'd be looking at 3 more cars in the wall, because you do not expect a car on the racing line to break that suddenly. So if Jordy was, I think he was just cautious around Griffith. There might have had a bad interaction with him last time, and just might be taking it safe around that one driver. So some drivers drive others a little bit differently, which is something not new in motorsports.
No.
Everyone's friends in real life, but some people have a reputation for being a bit crazy on track.
Well, there you go. And 3 corners later, Griffith, or 5 corners later, Griffith took himself out going into turn 7. So here we go as we continue on board with our 3rd place runner, Jordy Fike. He's got Mike Taylor and Edgar Sancinelli behind. We saw Sancinelli when they came out of 3 step to the inside. Looked like he thought he had a run there, and then he hit that big wall of air, and you could see he had to get back in line there, and he's a couple car lengths off that battle for 3rd.
I just got a communication from Brendan Haran after that incident. Quote, "I think there's oil down at turn 7. Well, it's a bit darker track. I do not know if spilled oil is part of iRacing, but coming #soon, not in the next update. Rain is coming to iRacing.
That's what I've heard.
And Jordy,
Jordy runs wide, coming through the kink, and that is going to move Mike Taylor now up into 3rd.
Air Fike strikes again.
Oh my. Yeah, he didn't go 10 feet in the air from the curbing this time. He just ran wide, coming through the kink there. Something that you couldn't do in the Formula V, obviously. You can do it as Spec Racer Ford. And that moves Mike Taylor now up into the last podium position as we are just now halfway through this 20-minute race here from a virtual Road America. And now we'll have to see what is Edgar Sancinelli going to do. Is he going to be content to sit back behind the 09 car? Or is the 09 car going to take a couple corners to kind of do a reset here? And I think we know the answer now as Sancinelli moves down to driver's right, comes down the inside of Fike.
Jordy fights this. Yep, Jordy's going to fight this. Edgar's just going to be racing with him. These two race alongside in a few other leagues with each other. I believe in Ricklotech, they share the same track. Yes, he does. I also share the same track with them as, oh no, I think there's more oil on track. Brendan Haran and Greg Mack is also off as well.
The 02, well, tonight the number 9 car going off of Greg Mack. Let's take a look at the replay here.
They went off together. Here comes Brandon. Where's Greg? Well, there goes Brandon.
Horn just dropped a wheel there, just on turn in.
Oh, big lockup by Greg.
Yeah.
So completely different issues. Both of them under braking, but one dipped the wheel in the grass and one,
look at this.
Oh, Taylor's
Mikey
around.
Taylor over at turn 5. He goes off, he goes around. Let's take a look at the replay here as they come down. Jordy Fike right behind the 66 machine, Sancinelli right behind. And as they go into turn 5.
Oh, he dipped a wheel on the apex and it just kicked out the back end, collected Sancinelli as well. Jordy Fike escaped there, but Mike Taylor, as he went over the curb, we saw sparks pop up from under the car, and that just shot the car around. And, taking out 2 of the 3. And, wait, is that Mike Taylor's
that's
off?
Mike Taylor one more time. He goes off going into turn 8. And I think he's brought the car now back to the pits. It looks like his day
He's done. He's
likely done. But that has really opened up things here at the front of the pack as we've got Caleb Patry just turning laps right now, just has to put his head down for another 7.5 minutes as that number 198 machine has over a 5-second advantage over Wanshi Lin. There's Lin just now coming through turn 14, and Jordy Fike, he is another, I believe, another 8 seconds back from there. And so it is really stretched out here. And Edgar Sancinelli, we're going to have to watch the Sancinelli car. You saw that he came to a complete
He's got
stop.
a lot of front.
Yeah.
Well, this is a battle between front damage. Huffman's got some front damage as well.
Yeah, well, Huffman has, I think, coming off of that
Vaccaro
original lap 1 incident. And, of course, he ran right
Vaccaro
into
does
the...
not have damage.
Yeah, Andre
Vaccaro
Jameson.
could take this, take fourth place by surprise, because Huffman's just did a 231. Vaccaro did a 235. Lynn's just had an issue. Lynn is off wide.
And that's over at turn 3, and he goes and recovers. Let's take a look here and see what happened. Not all that difficult to do this here. It's a very late apex. Does he drop a wheel? No, he doesn't. But you can see he just got the braking wrong. Did not get the car woed down. Had the rear end step out a little bit on him, and he had to recover there in the grass.
Yeah, once you feel that car going, there's 2 things you do: double down and spin. Hopefully, don't collect anyone, or just try to save the car. Don't coax it a little bit more under brakes, and take the off track. He's already got a big gap, 8 seconds, as you were saying, to Jordy Fike behind him. It's now no longer 8 seconds, about 5 seconds now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that allowed.
He gave away his freebie.
That's right. So that allowed Patry to pad his lead, and I hate to say it here, but I believe that Charles Vaccaro may have had an off-track excursion of his own. That we see him back there, back behind Sancinelli and Huffman, but I think he might have broke out the announcer's curse in that 221 machine. We'll have to,
I just said there's no damage on the car. I didn't say anything. Okay, yeah, I kind of did imply it.
Yes,
but,
you did.
In aerodynamics way, he has a faster car than the cars in front of him.
Well, he's still looking pretty clean there. So maybe
grass.
No harm, no foul. Yeah, just took the car off into the grass.
Now, if we see him in a wall, that's my fault.
at least you're taking blame for it.
I have cursed so many drivers on Apex Racing TV. It's become like a complete jinx before every race. If you see me in there, you hope that you are not being covered, because I will say something about you and you will crash. There's a reason why I'm not covering Formula 3.5 anymore, because one driver has been cursed 3 straight seasons by me.
You had the bad luck, huh? All right, look at this coming up towards the start-finish line. We've got the 2 front-end damage cars. We've got Jameson Huffman drivers right, Edgar Sancinelli to the left. And as they start to make their way down into turn number 1, we'll see if Huffman can get on the brakes a little bit later. And he is going to take the position away from Sancinelli. So a great run by Huffman. Huffman had been all the way down in 13th position. Lucky for him that everybody else seems to be having trouble staying on track as well. Huffman now back up in the 4th. That is where he started this race. So it's been one heck of a yo-yo job for him. Yeah, absolutely.
And Vaccaro did not have an off-track extension last lap. They just put in their fastest lap of the race. So, make me almost eat my words right there. But Vaccaro is closing in. They did put a faster lap than this group ahead of them. One of them did put in a 331, as that is Huffman going very wide. Santinelli defending on the inside. The more they stay side by side, the more that's going to allow Vaccaro to catch up to them.
Yeah, without a doubt here, as we see that red and blue number 221 making its way up the hill that last time by Vaccaro. Actually running very similar lap times to Santinelli and Huffman there, but looks like he is closing things down just a little bit. And again, the longer that Santinelli and Huffman go side by side as they just did through 7, the better chance that Vaccaro is going to have. Of course, things are we're running a little low on time here, though, Austin. Only 3 minutes remaining, and we'll have to track where our leader Caleb Patry is, but I would suspect, here he comes out of coming out of Bill Mitchell. So he's going to cross the stripe at about 17:30. White flag should be in the air. So Caleb Patry, as he makes his way up the Road America straight, he is going to complete lap number 7, and lap number 8 will be the last here at Road America for our Spec Racer Ford race in the Ray Esports Racing League. Let's jump back now to that battle for 5th with Huffman and, or probably the battle for 4th with Santinelli and Huffman. And
very wide right there, very low speed, and Huffman's heading into the pit lane.
What is happening here?
Did he get a drive-through penalty or something? You know, you can't get that at the start of a race if you're involved in something, but he might have hit the incident limit for going off track and might have had car contact and got a automatic drive-through or stop and go from iRacing.
That is very possible. So in the Ray Esports League, if you accumulate 12 incident points, you will get a drive-through penalty. So that is certainly a possibility. You might add, if you have 20 incident points, you will get disqualified from the race.
Yeah,
but we're on board.
It's very easy that he could have got 12. You see, he'd already had front end damage at the 4X. It probably just extended the track just a little bit too many times. 4 minus 12. You can do the math for me. 8 more times. And there you go. That's very easy to do, as we saw for qualifying. Very easy to go off track. Might have had car contact. Might have already had 8X from that car contact as well. Very possible. So, unfortunate to see that.
Yeah, as he had managed to work his way all the way back up to 4th, but right now we're on board with Caleb Patry, driver of the 198 machine. He finished 2nd just a little while ago in our Formula Vee race, and he is all smiles right now as he has over a 10-second advantage on Wanchi Lin as he comes down in the Canada corner for the very last time. Whoa, as he goes through Drift King Caleb Patry coming through Canada corner. That 4-wheel drift gathers it back up on the exit curbing. And I'm sure that was not intentional.
A little bit of laughs were had right there. You know, he doesn't have to worry about the Formula V draft anymore coming through the final corner. This time, leading it by a mild 10 seconds, but he does have to worry about the car coming out from under him. Can't really have to worry about that down the straight as Caleb Patry takes a dominant win here at Road America.
All right, and we're on board now is Wanchi Lin. He is going to come home 2nd for the 2nd round in a row here in the Ray Esports Racing League. A great debut season for him. And coming home 3rd, Mr. Cautious, it's the 09 entry of Jordy Fike. He's going to take the last step on the podium. And Edgar Santinelli, hard-fought battles almost all race long. Certainly one of the more aggressive racers out there this evening. He will come home in 4th. Charles Vaccaro, still with a clean car, comes home in 5th.
He did catch up. He did catch them and finish in the top 5, but not in the way that either of us were expecting, with Huffman serving a drive-through penalty, coming home in 7th place.
There we go, and the big surprise there is that even serving it, he did not go, I don't believe he went a lap down to John Casey.
It's impossible to go a lap down from a drive-through here. A drive-through here is 40 seconds. A lap here is 2 minutes
2
30.
minutes. Exactly. So there you go. As the rest of the field crosses, Casey comes home in 8th. Effinger comes home in 9th. Brennan Horan looked like he was trying to avoid the oil on the front straight. He comes home in 10th. Andre Jameson will finish 11th. And our last car running here, and it's a real sad story for Mike Taylor, as he was all the way up to 3rd position, had trouble with that car, and he is going to bring the car home. Again, our last runner, he's going to come home in 12th.
Yeah, thankfully for these drivers, the oil will be taken care of. You know, the speedy dry will be put back down, and we don't have any more races to worry about here tonight, thankfully. So, you know, we don't have any threat of oil spills or spin outs. Just hopefully they keep it safe on the in lap after that lap, after this wonderful race.
Exactly. All right. So, Austin, it looks like we've got Caleb Patry. He jumped out of that car as quickly as he could to come and join us. Let's bring him into the commentary booth.
Well, he certainly had a long time. Hopefully his audio issues are fixed this time. It was a fantastic race for Caleb. Started in the 2nd row. Had a, I think had a little bit of a bump at the start of the race to unfortunately have that 3-car incident. But, you know, after that, everything was smooth sailing for you. Caleb, you want to talk about that start?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to apologize to John there. He checked up a little bit earlier than I had anticipated. I was already off the gas checking up, but he checked up a little earlier. So it was just the slightest of touches, and they ended up wrecking, which was unfortunate. But, I mean, other than that, not really a whole lot I can say about the rest of the race. Had a good run there with, I think it was Jameson at the start, like the first couple laps, and then from there on out, it was kind of just cruising.
Yeah, it seemed a lot more easier than the Formula Vee race that you were just at the last lap. The only thing going against you was that little small drift at Canada corner. You didn't have to worry about any draft to bite you in the butt this time.
No, certainly these cars do draft pretty well, especially here, but not as powerful as the Formula V. So it wasn't as intense.
How is switching from Formula V to Spec Racer 4, different type of car, different driving style, really? How is it switching from one car to another in a very short amount of time?
It's something to get used to. I know this car has a lot more power, so you gotta brake a lot earlier than before. You gotta wait to get on the gas a lot later. Turning. Also, this car tends to be a little understeery, it seems, so you really have to be careful with inputs and your throttle inputs as well. So it takes a little bit to get used to, but it's not too difficult to drive. So it's not too terribly difficult.
It didn't seem terribly difficult for you at all. Dominant win by 10 seconds ahead of 2nd place, 20 seconds ahead of 3rd place, and then a lot of seconds ahead of everyone else. Before I let you go, Caleb, anyone you want to thank on this great win?
Well, I guess certainly Steve Ray again for putting these events on, and once again, just apologize to the 3 that were involved in that first lap incident.
All right. Well, thank you for putting on a great show, and congrats on this win. And I hope you have a great night, Caleb.
Thank you. You guys as well.
All right, there you go. Caleb Patry, driver of the number 198 machine, our winner tonight in Spec Racer Ford. And so, Austin, let's bring in Wanchi Lin, finishing 2nd tonight in Spec Racer Ford.
Yeah, Wanchi Lin, amazing drive for you today. You started all the 12 spots down, all the way down to 14th, and you just worked your way up, worked your magic, and you finished all the way up there in 2nd. How was that race? How was walking up through the field?
This is a very draft-heavy track, so starting loss is not really a bad thing. So just getting through the field, and I was actually a bit too patient. I just let Caleb run away a little bit too far. Can't catch him.
Opening lap had a little bit of contact out in front of you. What was your view of that incident, and what was going through your mind when you saw that smoke get up there heading into the braking zone?
I was planning to move more people, but then I just see cars flying, so kind of brake early and kept the car in the line. Didn't try something too aggressive.
Well, aggression certainly did not pay off here. Taking it safe seemed like the way to go, and it certainly looked like that as you're up 12 spots, biggest mover of the race, P2. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
I want to thank the series organizer, Mr. Ray, for organizing the race. It's great Tuesday night entertainment.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be very happy about that and very happy about your performance here today, because it was just a fantastic performance watching you move up through the field. It looked like you didn't even lift a finger half the time. You were just cruising.
Yeah, I tried to catch Caleb, but I pushed the car a little bit too much, made some mistakes, and that's I actually took more risk in the rear half of the race.
Well, hopefully this is a uptick in performance for you. You dodged a lot of incidents, and hopefully everything stays in shape. Thank you, and you have yourself a fantastic night.
Yep, you as well.
Thank you,
All
Greg.
right, there you go. That was Wanshi Lin finishing second tonight in Spec Racer 4. So that is going to wrap things up here from Road America. Want to make sure that you all join us next week, next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, where our Spec Racer 4s, they are going to come back and join us once again, as well as our MX5 Cup racers at Virginia International Raceway. As Paul, as everybody says, as Paul Newman says, it's heaven here on earth. So definitely want to join us. And again, if you have not done so, go ahead, give us a thumbs up if you liked what you saw here tonight. If you didn't like what you saw here tonight, still give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, go and subscribe to Apex Racing TV's YouTube channel and check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just search out Apex Racing TV, all one word, to find out about all the great virtual racing activities and events that we have seemingly 24 hours a day here on YouTube and also on Twitch. So for Austin Knight and Austin, thank you so much for joining me here this evening. Really, really appreciate it. And
Anytime. It was fantastic being here in the booth, and it's always a pleasure to watch some fantastic racing.
There you go. Thank you so much. And to Dennis Branch, thank you as always for all the great camera work here tonight from Road America. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we'll see you next Tuesday night for Ray Esports Racing League live from Virginia International Raceway.